Hello there guys, my name is David and this is the first time I've ever made a video to where I'm just standing in front of the camera talking on this HEMA sparring stuff channel. Now if you've watched any of our videos, clearly neither me nor my friend Joe, who is much better than me, are masters of HEMA. I mean, we try to use HEMA tactics, but really it's just backyard sword fighting. But nonetheless, we do our best to do a skill job. I mean, I'm still absolutely learning, and again, Joe himself isn't a master, but he is significantly better than me and he's teaching me stuff. And it's pretty fun, and I've posted some sparring videos, and there will definitely be more in the future. But basically, there's this other YouTuber I like called Syrio Forel. He just changed his name on YouTube, but I can't remember what it is off the top of my head, so I'm just going to call him Syrio Forel for now. He and his friend Max also make sparring videos, and Syrio Forel, one of his first videos, he made a reply to the bigger YouTuber, KnightSquire, who also talks about sword fighting in HEMA specifically. KnightSquire made a video saying it's impossible to draw a sword from the back, and Syrio Forel saying, well, depending on the way you move, that's not true at all. But KnightSquire didn't make a response to that. He found his channel finally, and he just kind of reacts to some of his other sparring videos with his friend Max. And so I'm just going to kind of address that. And I realized KnightSquire wasn't actually like really ragging on them. I mean, he specifically said that in the video, like, hey, I actually like these guys. So that's cool. We can all be civil here. I'm just, trying to respond to a couple of the things that weren't just, funny little nitpicks that I, kind of disagree with KnightSquire on. I'm going to try to defend, maybe I'll do a bad job of it, but I'm going to try to defend what Syrio Forel and his friend Max have said. So, when they're sparring, and another thing you have to keep in mind is it's pretty mellow sparring. It's just backyard sword fighting. They're sort of goofing off, but they are, trying to hit each other. So it's not entirely goofing off, but basically, when they're fighting, they like to spin the swords around a bit. It looks like Star Wars, kind of. And KnightSquire said, like, okay, why would you do that? That's not even a real attack. No, it's not. But the thing is, kind of their intention is, if someone's coming at you like this, you're going to be a little bit less sure of where they're going to strike from and at what time. And, so yeah, doing this isn't really an attack. It's just kind of, instead of being in just a static position, that gives people, or your opponents, a more easy way to plan an attack. And granted, there are other ways to keep your opponent from easily playing an attack. That's to just attack yourself, or, move around with footwork. But still, they're, having fun and they're doing this. And another thing to keep in mind is they're not using nylon long swords. They're using shinai, which are like half the weight of these things, so you can get away with it a lot more so. So, I mean, if I'm trying to use this against my friend Joe, he's going to kick my ass. But if I'm using a shinai, then I can, if I'm doing that, I can move my sword over much quicker to defend. I only have this. This is the closest thing I have to a shinai. It's just a Force FX lightsaber. But yeah, I mean, it's much easier to move around quickly. And plus, the thing is, like, they're doing that and they're using it well in sparring. If it were one thing, if they were just sitting down in front of a camera and saying, spinning your blade like this is a good thing to do, well, then you could be like, okay, that's iffy. I don't know if I agree with that. But they're doing it while sparring and using it well. Actually doing a good job of it. That's the main thing. And also, they defend the cross block. Scalagrim, very popular YouTuber, he made a video and he was kind of talking about how the cross block just seems like a really dumb thing to do. And Syrio Forel and his friend Max, while they were sparring, and also in a later video to where they went more in depth about it, were trying to talk about why they think it can actually be pretty effective. And, KnightSquire said, that's silly, that's stupid, why are you trying to disprove KnightSquire? Well, the thing is, they show you that it works. They're not just telling you, they're actually sparring, and Max uses the cross block effectively against someone who's using a sword and shield. And, I mean, you could say, like, well, the guy using the sword and shield, Syrio Forel, he doesn't know what he's doing. Okay, look at, if you don't want to look at his sparring videos for evidence, look at when he's just doing demos and, like, hitting a punching bag. Clearly, he has training. He knows what to do in a sword fight. He has footwork. And he can move the blade around quickly and dynamically and smoothly. He knows what he's doing. They both know what they're doing. When they're sparring, they're doing some kind of sloppy stuff at times, and their footwork isn't always the greatest, and sometimes they stumble a little bit, but it's backyard sword fighting. They're still kind of goofing off. And on top of that, just, they're not just saying that the cross block works. Max is actually performing it well, and it's working. for the most part, and also the weapon is much lighter. If you're trying to use two long swords against someone, that's a bad idea because it's a two-handed weapon. However, Shinai, also two-handed weapon, well, sparring weapon, but you know what I mean. They're much lighter, so you can get away with moving them around really quickly. And, I mean, again, you know, if one thing they say is, like, you can do a cross-block and put their weapon down, and KnightSquire says, like, well, there actually are plenty of things that you can do. That's true. Like, he says, like, if you have your weapon down on the ground, you can just bring it up, pommel them to the head, or stomp their weapon down. I have one thing to add. If you have your weapon down, you just punch them in the face. Or if you have a proper shield, hit him in the head with the shield. So yes, it's not perfect. It's not something that you should do all the time, but if you have the weapons that actually work with it, like really light Shinai, then you can actually pull it off. And also, why do you assume that they would just like do that and stay like that? You know, like they said, they'll like do that and then slide the blades up yours and cut you. Or, you know, if you do try to punch them or hit them with the shield or stomp on them, they can just, again, move them out of the way and hit you with them. So there's a lot of things to take into account. I mean, you can't just say it doesn't work when they actually show you in the video that it works. I mean, again, it's not going to work all the time, and it depends on what you're using. Like, for instance, if I'm using a short sword, you know, this is just a cheap little wooden short sword that my friend Joe made for like 90 cents. Okay. Don't use two hands on a short sword. However, if I'm like trying to use two hands while using a wooden short sword against someone in sparring, I'm like, well, this isn't working at all. This is stupid. Therefore, two-handed sword fighting doesn't make any sense. Well, what I just said doesn't make any sense, does it? Because clearly it does, depending on the weapon that you're using. So yeah, it's a bunch of things. I mean, you know, so Syrio Forel, just the gist of it is basically they're kind of goofing off, but also they're using weaponry that works for the kind of, you know, admittedly kind of over-the-top, you know, flamboyant sword work, kind of Star Wars-y stuff that they're doing. And also, I mean, you say, like, why would you spin around while sword fighting? Well, yeah, that's not something you should do. But again, backyard sword fighting. Take that into account. So anyways, yeah, I don't know. This probably came off kind of rambly, but this is the first time I've ever tried to talk about this in a video, so please bear with me. And again, if Syrio Forel posts a video of his own where he's responding to KnightSquire, I'll probably take this down because I'm sure he'll do a better job of it. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this. If you liked it, please rate and comment and subscribe. And definitely subscribe to Syrio Forel, or whatever his new YouTube channel name is. I'll add a link to his channel in the description. And KnightSquire, of course, if you haven't already. Goodbye.